In GoAnimate, once I've selected my theme, I can start with a template to give me a background. In this case, I'm selecting the concepts, and I'm going to find the one that just has a bunch of question marks. Seems appropriate for science. As you can see, once I've selected this template, it becomes my first scene in the timeline down here. And if you click on that, you can see there's different things you can do. If you want to have another copy of that same slide, you can copy it, and then when you click it again, you can have it before or after. This works well once you've added a bunch of characters or maybe some props that you want to use again without having to add them all again individually. In this case, what I'm going to do is I want to lighten the background a bit. So I clicked in that background, which brought up the scene settings for me. For the backdrop, I can change the color. So let's choose a nice lighter blue. We also can change that character. I don't want that character. So I can just click the character and it gives me several options. I can change it out for another asset, in this case a different character. I can add some movement to that character. I can flip him around. I can also bring him forward or backwards. That helps when you're layering different props. So let's say you want something in front of him, have him standing behind a desk. You can use these forward and backwards to get the scene the way you want. But let's first just start by swapping the asset, so changing this to a different character. Don't forget that students often sort of associate science as a very male and Caucasian dominated enterprise, so it's good to have some diversity in your videos. So let's choose someone. And her expression is going to be what was in the original template, but we can always choose all of that. So once we have the character we want, we can go back and we can change both what she's doing, what pose she's having. So different poses are available. There's also different sort of ways that she can be. So let's change her to just kind of crossing her arms. She looks kind of angry there. Let's do something else. So let's have her be kind of confused, but actually let's have her look a little bit more neutral. So there we have a character, and there we've changed her. We can move her around. We can also resize her to be smaller or larger. We can also use this little arc to change her orientation. Okay, so let's say we want to put something else in with her. So here's our character, and eventually we want something to appear in here with her. So we need to get out of scene settings over here. That will bring us back to our sort of overall tools, templates. We have characters, we have props, we can add text, we can add some widgets and sound. The most common things you'll be using are props and text. Props are all sorts of things that you can add to the scene. There's a lot of them to scroll through, and it's sometimes nice to just do that to get an idea of what's out there. But you can also search for specific things. So let's say I want to add some plants to the scene. I can just type plant and select it in the list, and it will show me all the plants that it has to add to the scene. Once I click it, I can add and resize as needed. Now, when you add things in, it will ask you if you want to have an entrance, like have it come in with a motion, enter or exit. For something stable and static like a tree, it probably doesn't make much sense. But if we were to add something like, let's say, a cat, so I'll type in cat. Here we've got cat. So let's say we want this kitty that's running in. So I'm going to select the cat. I'm also going to flip him. I want him to run in from the left-hand side of the screen. Okay, so let's say I want him to end right about there. I can have an enter motion. He's going to come in from the left, so this will show you from where to where he's entering. He's coming into the slide, and I'd like to have him do that about 1.5 seconds into the slide. So the kitty will run in after about 1.5 seconds. Now, as you're moving and going through, be sure to save frequently. The first time it'll ask you to give a title and a description to your video. So I'm just going to give it a short title. This is a sample development, and I'm going to skip the optional description for now, although it will be handy when you share your videos. I'm just going to say save only. Doing this frequently will make sure that you don't lose any of your work should there be a disaster. Now, this preview button will allow you to preview the entire video from start to finish. Since we only have one slide right now, that's just one video. However, if we were on slide 10 and we just wanted to see how this animation works, you can also click the slide in the timeline and say preview from here, and it will just start at the current slide. So let's do that really quickly to show you how that works. A little preview window will come up. It will show you what you've got going, and there comes our kitty inside. I'm going to go back to editing, and I'll show you really quickly how to add audio to this. So there's two ways to add audio. If you want to have the character speaking, what you do is click the character, then you click dialogue, and I have a microphone recording as I'm recording this narration, so I can record dialogue that I want her to say, and what will happen is the system will automatically try and lip sync her mouth to the audio that you recorded. So if you want her to say something like, wow, I wonder where my cat went, then we can do that here. So once we click the mic recording, it will pull up a box where we can click to record. You need to have a connected microphone for this. You can also type in the line here. Wow, I wonder where my cat went. Okay, so you can test by playing it, see how it sounds. If you're happy with it, you just add the voice. It always says it will take a little time. You have a maximum of 20 seconds of audio you can record, and I haven't found that to take too much time. So you're going to do this one slide at a time for your video. And now you can also preview and hear how that goes. Wow, I wonder where my cat went, and see how that times in. If you need, you can then change the timing of the cat so that it runs in right after she talks, and you do that by looking at when the kitty's entering, so how much delay there is. You might need more than 1.5 seconds to get her to be able to say that. You can just use the preview to play with your timings and see if that needs adjustment. Adding new slides can be done here. That will add one that's just like before. Or if you want a blank slide, just add a blank scene, and that will give you a new blank scene to work with. One very handy button here is if you do something you don't like, so let's say you accidentally make the trees really small, oops, there's an undo button up here, so that's really handy. There's also this copy button so that you can copy and paste items in. So I copied it and I pasted. Now I've got multiple items, and this is where you can see the layering might come in handy. So I don't want those trees blocking my kitty, so instead of bringing them forward, I will send them backwards, and that will put them behind the cat. If I wanted to add narration that the character didn't speak when I'm on the slide that I want, so notice that this slide 1 is the one where I have the character speaking that narration. Let's say in slide 2, I want to just add a narration that talks about the scene that the character is not speaking. To do that, you just click Scene Settings, you click Narration, and you click your mic recording. And again, you'll record it just as you did in the other case when the character was speaking, except that this time the character won't lip sync to that narration. When you're done, make sure you click Save and go to your video page. This will allow you to share your video with others. And this has just been a very short introduction, and I hope this is helpful for you. As always, let me know if you have any questions.